Teflon John.
Yeah, it's your boy Teflon John coming to you from the I Am Teflon John podcast show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the importance of reinvention. And I know a lot of times when we hear reinvention, we normally talk about technology, and normally it's cool if we're talking about technology. But let's start off with technology. A lot of times, when it comes to technology, we have cell phones, and let's start off with the iPhone or the Samsung. A lot of us have had the S3 or the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 3, but now we have 7s. And the reason I bring it up is because they made improvements every year to give us a new model. And every time a new model came out, something improved. But when it comes to us as people, a lot of times we hate to change, and it's funny because sometimes it's subtle change that makes that new cell phone greater, or sometimes it's subtle change that makes that 2015 different from that 2016, or different from that 2017 vehicle that you're driving. But it's funny that we look for those to change, and we look for cars and clothes and fashion and trends to actually change throughout time. But we ourselves find ourselves stuck being the same person that we were 10 years ago. Now, with reinvention, you want to look at yourself and say, is the person I am today, the habits I have, the way I carry myself, the way I speak to people, the way I handle my relationships, is that conducive for me being successful and accomplishing my goals? Now, if you are not accomplishing your goals, it's probably because the person you are now. Now, what you have to do is sit down, reevaluate yourself, and look at it and say, okay, what can I improve? What can I change? What could I update to actually get myself catapulted further into accomplishing my goals? Now, a lot of times you can actually start with subtle things like my punctuality. Am I on time? And a lot of times I suffer with that, but we talking about being on time to work. We talking about being on time for sessions. We're talking about being on time for goals. So a lot of times we'll write these goals down, or we'll come up with the list of goals that we want to accomplish, but we don't stick to a time schedule. Why? Because we're used to not being on time. When you're talking about being punctual, it's more than just being on time. It's when you show up, you bring what you're supposed to bring to the table. You actually bring your talent, you actually bring your abilities, and you actually put forth some action. Some people just show up but never put forth action. So think about that aspect of it. Like when I'm here, when I'm where I'm supposed to be, whether it be at work, whether it be at home in your marriage, are you supposed to be where you're supposed to be? And then if you're there, are you contributing anything, or are you just existing in that situation? Because a lot of times we find ourselves in the right places, but we don't experience any type of success because we're not applying ourselves. We're just there. And some other topics as far as reinvention are, am I gaining new knowledge? You should be learning something all the time. And now they say that a study showing that the information that you learn today, I think anywhere from 2 to 3 years, is going to be outdated. So you must constantly read. You must constantly learn something new. Challenge yourself to take a step outside that comfort zone, because when you learn something new and gain new knowledge, now you can apply it. 98% of becoming a new person or reinventing yourself, 98% is applying it. Only 2% is learning. And that's the principle that I came up with. Because you can learn, you can watch, you can listen all day long, but if you don't apply what you've learned, right? If you don't apply it, it means nothing. That's like if you had a jar of peanut butter, you had a jar of jelly on the counter, and you had some bread. It doesn't become a sandwich until you apply the peanut butter and the jelly to the bread and now make a sandwich. So a lot of times we hear stuff, we pay for seminars, we buy all these books, we buy all these downloads, and we listen to all these podcasts or listen to the online webinars, but we never apply what we're learning. So in a sense, we're really just kind of being exposed to the information without letting the information soak into us. So always remember that you have to apply what you've learned when it comes to gaining new knowledge. Now, a lot of times when it comes to goals and stuff, sometimes you have relationship goals. Like if you're a spouse, if you're a husband, if you're a wife, or you're in a relationship, or you're engaged, or you have friends. A lot of times you're going to look at, how do I become a better spouse? How do I become a better friend? Is a lot of times the subtle things or subtle changes that can actually help you in this journey. Because a lot of times when you look at it and you look at the person you are, like changing words you use. And a lot of times it's not the words you use, but it's the way you say them, the terms of endearment. It's the way you answer. It's what you put on your words. And a lot of times in business, that'll also affect you too, because you can't be a person that's always destroying relationships if you're trying to build a business or if you're trying to accomplish goals, because accomplishing goals and building a business is going to require you to build relationships. So if you're in a marriage, if you're in a friendship, or you're engaged, how you treat this person and how you develop that relationship could ultimately affect the approach that you would have into a business relationship. You got to learn how to be open with people. And when it comes to reinventing yourself on a social level, you may end up finding yourself around people that you feel uncomfortable around because you have nothing in common. But when it comes to building networks, you want to be around people that offer something different. Someone is going to bring something different to the table. Part of networking is finding somebody where you need their service, right? You need them to complete a task for you that you can't do for yourself, but you need it for your business. You need it to accomplish your goals. And what it does is it makes that easier for you now, but you don't necessarily have to have anything in common. They say birds of a feather flock together, but as long as you're hanging around the people that are doing what you're doing, you're going to continue to be who you are and who you have been for the next several years. So you must experience different people. You must go around, learn different people, multiracial people, different ethnic backgrounds. Learn from these people, because culturally somebody have something different to bring to the table that you can benefit from. Trust me, when it comes to dealing with people, you'll be surprised what you can learn from how someone else does it. You may have been doing a certain task the certain way for the last 20 years. But you may learn a better way from someone else, but it's just being open to that. Another thing, as far as reinvention, we're going to talk about mindset. A lot of times it's the way we think and it's what we put into our mind. Picture your mind being a garden, right? Whenever you're trying to grow a garden, you want it to be plentiful. You want it to be beautiful. If you have any crops or any vegetables or fruits, you want it to be plentiful. But when it comes to weeds and ragweed and wild grass, you tend to pull those up. You tend to till the dirt and get the soil ready first. But what happens with our mind is that negativity becomes the weeds. It becomes the wild grass. And what happens is it's hard for a flower or a great plant to grow amongst weeds because it gets choked down. So you have to look at, what am I exposing myself to? When I'm watching TV, if I have an attitude problem and I'm watching TV and I'm following reality TV shows where my favorite character has an attitude problem, now I've created a mental atmosphere where it's conducive for me to continue to be who I am, because I'm identifying with other people that makes me feel comfortable of having a nasty, bad attitude. A lot of times you're going to see on TV a lot of negativity, and you can find negativity. You can find it easier than you can positivity. But if you know that is stuff that you need to change, right, try to be around other people and try to actually work on that, because with reinventing yourselves, you must visit your past, because who you are now is a product of what you have been through in life. And a lot of times we as people, and I've also done this, we celebrate Halloween on a daily basis. And what I mean is we wear a mask. We get up in the morning and we master wearing a mask and show people one side of us. In the social media world, we call this filtering. So we make it look like to someone and we present ourselves as this perfect being and everything's okay. But really on the inside, we're dying. We're being ate up from what we went through in the past. Now, it's okay to revisit your past and learn from it and say, okay, if I'm like this because of my past, it's time for me to either work through it. It's time for me to deal with it, but do not internalize that problem. When you internalize that problem, it's going to be very hard for you to reinvent yourself, because now you're going to be in this self-destructive mode. That's why you see a lot of suicide is going up amongst teenagers, because they go through this stuff in school, they get bullied, or their home life isn't what it's supposed to be, and they never reach out to someone to help them deal with it, and they internalize that problem, and before you know it, they self-destruct. Whether it's coming socially strange, where you don't deal with people, you close yourself off, then that leads to depression. And finally, that leads to them actually committing suicide. And one thing with that is, reinventing yourself, you have to be real with yourself and admit if you have an issue. I have an issue from childhood, or I have an issue when I was abused, or I have an issue where I was raped or molested. And once you identify these things, you want to find an avenue or an alley where you can get help. There's help out here. Find someone trustworthy. And once you find someone trustworthy, you want to share your story. Part of going through something bad in life and misfortune, right? I think it's more unfortunate to go through something bad and keep it to yourself, because going through something bad and unfortunate, once you share your story, you will see the power of you actually being a survivor and actually helping bring others out. See what I'm saying? So part of reinventing yourself is really you working on you and working on those things that you have internalized, and actually building yourself up to the point to where you've recovered. Now you're a survivor. You see what I'm saying? You are a survivor from what you went through. And now you must reinvent yourself and say, okay, I'm going to take my story and I'm going to help others reinvent themselves. So when it comes to reinvention, look at your past and learn from it. Now, with your future, with reinventing yourself, you must challenge the way you view your future. You have to look at it from the bright side. A lot of times when you're looking down the road, if you literally look down the road or look down the street, you're going to see a lot of obstacles, whether it be trash cans, mile markers, road signs or whatever. It's your job to look to the destination. Now, it's not saying that it's going to be an easy road travel. No, it will not be an easy road travel, but you must continue to look to the destination and take baby steps there. Some days you may take giant leaps. Some days you may stand still. Some days you may only move forward an inch. But as long as you're moving forward, that is going to be progress. But you must keep that mindset, reinvent that mindset that now I can accomplish anything. So whatever you decide to do in life, goals, relationship goals, marital goals, personal goals, or whatever you want to do, self-improvement goals, reinvention goals as far as yourself, you must first believe. If you don't believe that you can do it, right, you're not going to put forth the right amount of energy into accomplishing these things, because you already have self-doubt. Doubt can outshadow any amount of effort, because you can have good days. And once you have that one bad day, the doubt would also allow you to quit. You know what I'm saying? Doubt is like that cloud that comes in front of the sun. It's a gloomy day. Everyone gets sad, but then the sun peeks out. But knowing that the sun is going to stay where it is, your heart and your passion is going to stay where it is, but you got to let these clouds pass by. Soon they will pass by. So mentally reinvent the way you think and know that you can do it, and believe wholehearted. You must believe beyond your adversity, because I'm telling you, adversity is going to come, but you got to believe beyond that. Another tip when it comes to reinventing yourself is reinventing the people that you're going to be around. Reinventing, like I said earlier, bringing in new people, and have you a person of influence. Find a mentor. Reinventing yourself may require you to get a mentor or an accountability partner where they keep you accountable for reaching your goals and, going after your goals in a timely manner. But a mentor is actually going to help you go the right direction, because normally your mentor has already accomplished what you're trying to accomplish, or has already been there, or has enough knowledge that they can kind of walk you along the way. And that's going to help with your mindset. That's going to help with the way you carry yourself. And that's going to help with, your growth as an overall person in that field or in that industry, so to speak. So when it comes to finding a mentor, that's going to be crucial. That's going to be very important. If you're fortunate enough to find a mentor, go after a great mentor and stick by them. And what's going to happen is you're going to probably be helping your mentor, or, a trade of service where they may mentor you, and you may help them with whatever they have going on. But through that service and you serving your mentor, or, you being around your mentor, their ways will rub off on you. Now, it's going to be uncomfortable when it comes to, trying to listen to people and try to do what they say, because a lot of times when it comes to reinventing yourself, the main problem is you feel like you don't need to change. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not changing for anyone. But the thing is, that's the wrong attitude to have. We can always change. If you look at professional athletes, every year they probably review the previous year. They go in the weight room, they get a strengthening coach, and they try to change for the better. Whereas losing weight, gaining muscle, becoming faster, learning a new position, becoming better at running routes, they always look at ways that they can change, But it's funny how we expect technology to change. We expect cell phones to change and cameras and cars, but we don't expect that from ourselves. Reinventing yourselves can be the difference between you making $100 or $100,000 just by the way you think, just by the way you talk, just by who you're around, just by who you're allowing in your circle, just by what you're allowing in your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes down to you actually becoming a better person, you have to have the passion and you have to want that change. There has to be a reason for that change. And that reason for that change has to be big enough that you will actually go through the steps and go through with it. A lot of times we become, so toxic in our relationships because we know that something has to change, but, we don't want to change and they don't want to change. And before you know it, it's self-destruct and our health goes down along with us separating because nobody wanted to take forth an effort and look at who has to change. Now, a lot of times in life that happens where you have a career, you have goals, you're going to college. But when you embark on that journey or take that step towards that, there has to be a change to take place because you're embarking on new territory. Anytime you embark on new territory, you must change. Like if I'm going from average Joe, working a 9 to 5, taking care of my family. Now I decide I want to become a bodybuilder. A change has to take place. Now there has to be more discipline. My diet has to change. What I'm exposed to has to change. The time I go to bed has to change. So a lot of times you even look at that from a parental standpoint. You want to become a parent, but you don't want to change your ways. You want to go out every weekend. You want to stay up. It's going to be about other people. So look at what you want to do in life and do realize every situation or everything that you want to engage in is going to require some type of change. But change is not always bad. And I know a lot of people feel like I'm the way I am. I'm going to be who I am, be authentic. Be authentic, but do realize that some things and some endeavors in life requires you to change, but sometimes it requires you to change for the better. It may require you grooming yourself more. And that's another point I want to make too. With reinventing yourself, it may be your look, it may be your fashionable sense of if I want to go into a realm of motivational speaking, I know I have to look the part amongst who's getting me. When you become the face of your brand, or you become the face of your family, or you become the face of your relationship, part of feeling great is looking great. You know what I'm saying? So once you look good, you feel good. So a lot of times we find ourselves, when you're in your teens or your 20s, dressing a certain way. And as we get older, we tend to keep that same mentality, but we realize that you can't get a job. You can't get a great job going into an interview with your pants sagging down or going into an interview with your skateboard look with your holes in your jeans. It's a change that has to take place because you want a job. That's what I talked about earlier. Some things in life that you want will require you to change. But from a fashionable sense, you have a lot of times now that I think they call us the millennials. Sometimes we work and we feel like that, the world owes us. But you have to get back to that grooming yourself, keeping yourself looking neat, dress nice, go to interviews, be sharp. And when it comes to relationships too, you don't want to approach a female or approach a guy and your hygiene's not proper, or, you don't have a sense of how you carry yourself. You don't care. Your clothes are not clean and they're wrinkled, So that's a very important tip when it comes to reinventing yourself is how am I dressed and how do I look? How does what I wear make me feel? And when it comes to ladies, you don't have to compromise your body as far as showing it off, you know what I'm saying, to try to reinvent this person that makes up for lack of self-esteem to try to impress somebody. Because I'm telling you, if you leave honey out, honey tastes good. Honey is sweet. But if you leave it out long enough, you're going to attract gnats. You're going to attract flies, bees, pestilence. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to be someone that you're not to try to make someone like you, because now you've picked up a second job. It's like, when Denzel Washington goes on set, the director will soon yell cut. That means he can get out of character and go back to who he is or who he was. Now imagine if you had to do that all day, every day to make someone like you, constantly be in character. You're going to be exhausted and you're going to be drained. So I feel like now that the way we dress sometimes is like getting into a character because we want people to like us so much. But be authentic, be yourself, but also look at what must change. Does that have to change about me? Does my perception, is my image of myself, does that have to change in order for me to care about myself, in order for people to genuinely accept me? Not everybody's going to like you. When it comes to reinventing yourself, if you're going to think about, well, I must change this because this person won't like me, or I must change this because that person won't like me, someone's always not going to like you. Someone's always going to like you, and someone's always going to think, they're all right. So no matter what you do, you can't please everyone. So the best thing that you can do is please God and please yourself by trying to become the best version of you there is. And like I said, just to end it all, just know how important reinvention is. The car you drive, the cell phone you have, the TV you have, once came from an invention. That means it was never there. Someone thought about, boom, let's make a television. Let's, find a way where we could entertain ourselves. And then if you look at how big the televisions were back then, they didn't have color. They had probably 2 channels. Now then they made it point to making color TV, real big boxy TVs. Now TVs are thinner than your cell phone that have computer capability that you can hook up flash drives and download stuff to them and pick up internet connection. But look at the progression. So if TVs can progress from that old box style TV, no color, where you had to put the cellophane paper on front of it just to give it color, to now being HD curved TVs to downloading and all that good stuff, why can't you evolve as a person and do the same thing and better off yourself by becoming who you were meant to be, or always fine-tuning stuff? Now, I'm not saying nitpick yourself, but what I'm saying is always learn something new and you will become someone better. And guys, look, I want you to go onto my website, www.iamteflonjohn.com. Right now, I have a free ebook. It's called How to Live a Healthy Lifestyle. And if you go on there, if you sign up for my email newsletter list, you'll receive that ebook 100% free. And I want you to go on there and read my blogs, comment on my blogs, and also check me out on YouTube at iamteflonjohn.com. That's spelled with John. And you can catch me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I just want to end it with, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. Reinvention is very important to your key to success. And I'm signing off as I Am Teflon John for the I Am Teflon John podcast show, where my job is to inspire you where you are inspired. One love, be blessed.